Hello friends, welcome to our YouTube channel Pro Construct Tech. As you all know, we have started a tutorial for eTabs software. So let's begin. In previous tutorial, we have learned about how to set geometry for multi-storey building, how to assign material property, how to define a frame section property. After defining frame section, how to assign beam and column to the multi-storied building. So let me just recall everything. We define material property as a concrete grade M25, rebar material property as a FE500, beam dimensions as a 300 by 600, column dimensions as a 500 by 500. We define these all material and section properties. After defining all material and section properties, we have we had drawn beam and column on our multi-storied building. So now in today's tutorial, we will define slab property. After defining slab property, we will learn load calculations for multi-storied building. As this is our introductory portion, we will discuss only gravity loads today. We are not going to discuss lateral loads like seismic loads and wind loads. So to define slab property, a similar command will use, that is define. Go to section properties. There is one command, that is slab thickness. So click over that slab thickness. Now here two predefined slab properties is there. So we can either modify that slab properties or we can define new slab properties. So let me define here new slab property. After clicking over add new slab properties, we will get this kind of box in which it asks us some basic things. For example, provide property name. So let me provide it as a slab 200. Second one is slab material. Which kind of material is filled in this material, in this property? So let me provide it M25. M25 grade of concrete is filled in slab. Now, this is the important thing, that is modeling type. As you click in modeling type, we got these four different type of slab. First one is shell thin, shell thick, membrane and layered. So the meaning of membrane is these elements used to represent only in plane stiffness of member. Only in plane stiffness of member. The meaning is if we provide membrane type of slab, the function of those kind of slab is just to transfer load from one member to another member. It will not going to resist bending, right? Bending means in out of the plane bending, right? Second one is shell. Shell is defined in thin and thick. Now you all know what is the meaning of thick and thin. If length by thickness ratio is in between 10 to 15, then those are thin, and greater than that, then those are thick. So shell elements are more realistic as compared to membrane, right? More realistic, which means they have in plane as well as out of the plane stiffness, right? To understand this kind of modeling type in depth, you need to learn two most important theories, right? For thin shell, there is Mendling theory, and for thick shell, there is Mendling theory, and for thin shell, there is Kirchhoff law theory. right? Where in depthly they have explained how slab shall be analyzed as a shell thin and how slab shall be analyzed as a shell thick, right? So the basic difference is membrane element does not resist in-plane bending while shell element resist in-plane and out of the plane bending. So let me define here our slab type as a shell. Now the question is either it is thin or thick, right? So as we define in geometry, 5 meter spacing between two lines is 5 meter in both the direction, x as well as y, right? And here we are going to provide a thickness as a 200 mm, right? So if we take a ratio of 200 by 5000 mm, so it must be less than 10. So let me define our slab type as a shell thin, right? After defining our slab type as a shell thin, here again display color and all are the same similar things. Here again we got a property data in which first type. After clicking over type, we got this kind of type of slab. Simple type of slab, drop slab, which means type of flat slab, ribbed slab or waffle slab, right? For the introductory portion, let we define it as a simple type of slab and let provide a thickness as a 200 mm. After filling all these information, click over OK, right? So here a slab property slab 200 is defined. Now again click on OK. So now we have defined our slab property. Now there is required to draw slab, right? Before drawing slab, make sure that here right hand side corner working plan, in the working plan there are similar stories, all stories and one stories. So make sure here all stories appear. So now to draw slab, we have a different methods. You can also draw slab by clicking over here draw, right? By clicking here over draw floor and walls. So we will get here these three commands: draw floor and wall, draw rectangular floor or wall, quick draw floor or wall. Similarly, these three properties are already appeared here in vertical box. First one, draw floor or wall. Second one, draw rectangular floor or wall. And third one, quick draw floor or wall. Right? So as in our geometric plan, all the slabs are appeared in rectangular shape. So let we draw our slab by clicking over draw rectangular floor or wall. After clicking here draw rectangular floor, make sure here a slab property is selected as a slab 200, which is our defined slab property, right? So after selecting here slab 200, just click over the rectangular box appeared in plan. Cover all four corners of rectangular floor. We will get this kind of color which is already assigned in slab property. Parallelly, you can also see here in 3D view a slab property is defined, right? So similarly, draw slab for each corners we have defined. Also, you can draw slab by selecting here quick draw floor or wall command. Click over quick draw floor or wall and just click on this rectangular box. Parallelly, you can see on right hand side 3D view a slab has been formed for each floor levels, right? So here we have completed defining of slab and drawing of slab. You can check whether the slab has been formed or not by clicking here view, show rendered view. It will show here this kind of slabs. So we can get idea whether our slab has been drawn or not. So this is the procedure of to define slab property and draw slab in our multi-storied building. Now let me start a load calculation for our multi-storied building. Before starting load calculation, first we need to understand load transfer mechanism. So for every multi-storied building, load shall be transferred from slab to beam, from beam to column, for column to foundation, and from foundation to ground level. Now, as I said earlier, in this introductory part, we will only discuss gravity loads. So here we will show you load calculations for gravity loads, which means dead load and live loads. Now, in dead load, these three data shall be covered: static loads, self weight of structural elements, permanent partitions, and immovable fixtures. These data are considered in dead load. The criteria to consider dead load is given in IS 875 Part 1, Code of Practice for Dead Loads. Now, in dead load, in most of the cases, we need to consider this amount of dead loads: self weight, floor finish load, partition wall load, main wall load, parapet wall load, and sunk slab load. Sometimes, where a staircase is provided, in that case, a staircase load is also required to consider in dead load. Now, calculation of self weight. First, a self weight of slab. Here, we need to understand a unit of all these loads, right? For example, self weight of slab shall be calculated as slab thickness into unit weight of RCC. So, the unit of self weight of slab, it is in kilonewton per meter square, and the amount of load is spread over the area of slab. The value of unit weight of RCC is provided in IS 875 Part 1 as a 25 kilonewton per meter cube. Second one, self weight of beam. It shall be calculated as width into depth of beam multiplied by unit weight of RCC. The unit of self weight of beam, it is in kilonewton per meter. The amount of load is spread over the length of beam. Third one is self weight of column. Self weight of column shall be calculated as width into depth into height of column into unit weight of RCC. The unit of self weight of column, it is kilonewton, acted as a point load on column. Now, one thing is required to be clear, that all the self weight of materials by default applied in ETABS software. There is no separate procedure to apply this self weight load of members. After self weight, second one is floor finish load. Now what is floor finish? So it is a portion of material which is provided over the slab. For example, tiles and etc. So floor finish load shall be calculated as thickness of floor finish into unit weight of cement mortar. Unit weight of cement mortar is considered as a 20 kN per meter cube as the value is given in code. And usually the thickness of floor finish is provided as a 50 mm. So you all know in most of the cases we considered a value of floor finish as a 1 kilonewton per meter square. So this floor finish load is spread over the area of slab. Next one is partition wall load. Now partition wall shall be provided below the beam or partition wall shall be provided without beam, right? Which means at intermediate span of slab. First, let me discuss partition wall under the beam. For this kind of partition wall, self weight is considered or calculated as thickness of partition wall into unit weight of brick masonry into height of wall. If partition wall is provided under the slab without any support of beam, then there is chances that extra stresses are generated on slab. Either it is generated at middle portion of slab or at corner portion of slab. So to counteract this mechanism, we considered 1 kilonewton per meter square of partition wall load which is spread over the slab. This value is again provided in IS 875 part 1 table number 3 and also in IS 456. This kind of partition wall when provided under intermediate span of slab, this value is required to provide. Next one is main wall load. It is simple. Similarly, calculations of partition wall load, thickness of main wall into height of wall into unit weight of brick masonry. Main wall is generally provided below the beam or by supporting the beam. So the main wall load is spread over the beam along the length of beam. Next one is parapet wall. This kind of walls are provided at terrace floor. And the calculation is thickness of wall into height of wall into unit weight of brick masonry. Generally, for G+4 multi-storied building or for our cases, parapet wall height is considered as a 1200 mm to 1500 mm. For residential building, this value shall be reduced. And this parapet wall load is spread over the beam along the length of beam in the unit of kilonewton per meter. Next one is sunk slab load. First of all, these sunk slabs are generally provided in bathroom, washrooms, wash areas or other utilities area where this kind of portion is provided to pass pipes, electric wires or etc. Right? This sunk slab is a extra portion below the main slab. It is not that this on this area a sunk slab is provided, so there is no other main slab is there. It is an extra portion below or above the main slab. So the calculation of self weight is sunk slab thickness into unit weight of filling material. Filling material means IS 875 part 1 provided many filling materials. In most of the cases, we have provided cinder type of filling material. And for those kind of filling material, unit weight is provided as a 8 kilonewton per meter square. The load of slung slab is in unit of kilonewton per meter square and it is spread over the main slab and it is spread over the main slab. Second type of gravity load, that is live load. Clauses for live load is given in IS 875 part 2 code of practices for live loads. The values are given as below table. For rooms and kitchens of residential building, it is 2 kilonewton per meter square. For toilets and bathroom, it is again 2 kilonewton per meter square. For corridor, passages, staircase, it is 3 kilonewton per meter square. And for balconies, it is 3 kilonewton per meter square. So these are the important gravity loads which shall be provided on multi-storied building. Other type of lateral loads are also important, wind load, earthquake loads and etc. But for introductory part, here we have discussed only these gravity loads. And at the last, there is need to understand a load transfer method from slab to beam. Right? Now we know a type of slab as per its functions. So it is divided into two parts, one-way slab and two-way slab. If the longer span by shorter span is greater than 2, then those are one-way slab, and if longer span to shorter span is less than or equals to 2, then those are two-way slab. Load transfer mechanism for one-way slab, we can say it as a rectangular pattern, and load transfer mechanism for two-way slab, we can say it as a trapezoidal pattern. Right? As this mechanism is not important while we are analyzing slab, beam or column in software, but it is important while we provide meshing for slab. Right? Now what is the meshing? How all these loads are applied on particular members? It will be discussed in next tutorial. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.